what I'm going to do for the next few minutes or so is quickly look at an essay that covers the end of the first unit of the British History A-level, and it's looking at that period of Conservative government from 1951 to 1964. And quite a common title that you'll see looking at this period is the period of Conservative dominance between 1951 and 1964 should be viewed as 13 wasted years. Assess the validity of this view. And it's a 25-mark essay. The essay clearly breaks down into two arguments. Yes, it is 13 wasted years. No, it isn't 13 wasted years. And all I want to do is very quickly look at those two sides. Not going to go into lots of detail. A lot of that you need to be going back into the textbooks to find, doing that wider reading from people like Dominic Sandbrook, Andrew Moore, articles on BBC History magazine, places like that to really take your essays from a good level 3 and a decent level 4 up to a high level 4 and pushing to level 5. You've always got to do that wider reading. So all I'm going to do is give you some basic ideas to think about when you're planning your essays for the future. So first of all, what I'm going to look at is the argument to say, yes, it was 13 wasted years. And we're going to start with foreign relations. Two go-to examples here are the Suez Crisis in 1956 and Britain's failure to join the European Economic Community in 1963. They show how Britain's really losing its position from being a global power before World War II and then becoming really a big player at times, dare I say, struggling to find its role. And that's something that you could draw on to say, well, Britain's now wasting an opportunity. It's 13 wasted years. It hasn't found an international role. Its special relationship with the United States has been harmed due to the Suez Crisis, and we don't have a strong standing in Europe. We haven't managed to join the European Economic Community. So that's our first argument to say, yes, it's 13 wasted years. Now, a further argument to say it's 13 wasted years is looking more at the economy now and industrial production. Now, you could say that industrial production during this period, whilst good, increases by 29%. It's increasing at a slower rate than other major European powers and America. Two really clear examples here. They're in the textbook, but you could look at Germany, and growth there goes up by 125%, and in Italy it goes up by something like 102%. Both of these in comparison with 29% in Britain. So we could say that, we could say, well, hold on, Britain has improved, but not to the same rate as other European powers, therefore it's a wasted opportunity for Britain, 13 wasted years. Another argument that we could look at to say, yes, it is 13 wasted years, is that the economy is very weak throughout this period. And an example there, link it back to the Suez Crisis, is that triggers a run on the pound. And it means that the value of the pound is falling in international currency markets. It's a weak currency. The British government, the Conservative government, have failed to failed to maintain the value of the pound. Therefore, we could say 13 wasted years. Another example, and we can link this across again, we've got another link from the economy, which I've just mentioned, to another link to its 13 wasted years, is that economic expenditure declines over this period. The government's trying to resolve the national debt, therefore they cut public expenditure. An example here that you could look at is the Beeching report, and as a result of that, 30% of rail lines are cut, with real public outrage. So during the period of Conservative government, we've seen lower public expenditure, an example being the cut in railways. Another example that we can use for 13 wasted years are attitudes with regards to immigration and race. Don't forget, at the end of World War II, you see what's known as the Windrush generation. People from across the Commonwealth are welcomed or asked to come to Britain to help Britain rebuild following World War II. Yet when these people arrive, they're met with hostility, they're met with mistrust, they're met with violence, and the government fails to deal with that. An example being the Notting Hill riots in 1956. Therefore, we could say that again, 13 wasted years of failure to deal with immigration during that period. So I've just given you a very quick and broad overview of arguments that agree with the statement, it's 13 wasted years. But clearly, to give yourself a balanced essay, we then need to look at the counter-argument saying, no, it's not 13 wasted years. And the first one I'm going to look at is the idea of foreign relations. And the government recognises that it needs to find its new role. The British Empire is coming to an end, and the government starts to promote the idea of decolonisation. Now, your example here is Macmillan's Winds of Change speech. He goes to South Africa, he gives the Winds of Change speech. The government are seizing this opportunity. They're trying to lead the way on decolonisation. Whether you agree with that or not, it is certainly an argument to say that it is not 13 wasted years. A further argument to say it's not 13 wasted years is looking at the British economy. Britain enjoys a post-war boom. With as a result, by 1955, we'd reached full employment. That was one of the aims of the post-war consensus. You start to see average wages increase, and by 1960, average wages are increasing by 7% per year. So you could argue that it's not 13 wasted years, the economy is doing well, and wages are increasing. Now, we could develop the idea of wages increasing by giving a further example, linking this to living standards improving as well. So in 1951, the average salary is £8.30 for a man per week. And by 1961, the average salary for a man is £15.35. Therefore, we've got really good evidence to show that it's not 13 wasted years. The economy is improving, living standards are improving, people have got more money in their pocket during this period. We could link that argument onto a further argument with regards to housing. The Conservative government made a pledge to build 300,000 more homes to replace the slums and the houses that weren't fit for purpose following World War II. And they achieved that and more. Therefore, not 13 wasted years. There's more homes being improved, more homes being built. Along with that, people have more access to mortgages as well, which means that people are able to buy their own houses. However, we need to be clear, the majority of people still live in rented accommodation, the majority of that being council houses. And then finally, to say it's not 13 wasted years, we could look at social changes and how social attitudes changed during this period. The Suez Crisis and the Profumo affair really give people an opportunity to question this idea of class, society, and deference to the upper classes. They're no longer being trusted, and people start to find their own voice. Really good examples that we could go to here are looking at the writers, The Angry Young Men, and how theatre and the arts changes during this period. So, I've given you a very broad overview there of, yes, it was 13 wasted years, no, it wasn't 13 wasted years. There's not enough detail there for you to be able to write an essay. You need to go and do that further reading. You need to go into the textbooks. You need to look at different articles. However, that's a bit of a structure for you to get some understanding about. Okay, there we go. Thanks very much.